going on? Blossom is back, and welcome back to another episode of Top Drives and another episode of Moneymakers, where I showcase all the cash cows in a single rarity. Today we're going to be talking about ultra rares. Obviously we've done uncommons, super rares, and rares. I don't know why I set that out of order. If that annoys you, I'm sorry, because that kind of annoys me that I set it out of order. Let me do it again. Uncommons, rares, and super rares. Now we're doing ultra rares, and I want to talk about all the cash cows. These are the cards that I use in clubs time and time again, and they make me as much money as possible, okay? We're talking about like the Lotus Elise 135. This might have like 1,000 races compared to some other ultra rare 19 RQ BMW or RQ19. It's an old joke now, isn't it? If you're a newer Top Drives player, you won't get that. RQ50 BMW, right? That might have like, I don't know, 20 races, right? So the comparison is unreal. But anyway, I want to talk about the cash cows, the best ultra rares in my opinion that I use in clubs time and time again. Now, let me summarize this in a way that I didn't summarize in the last couple of videos. Clubs, when it boils down to its very core, is about usability. How many times can you use a car in clubs? The more times you can use a car in clubs, the more useful it will be. Obviously, you know how much value can you get out of it, how many races it can win, how lethal is it when you deploy it on the track set, how much RQ it can save, how good are its stats. All that kind of stuff comes into factor, but it all boils down to usability. The more times you can use a car in clubs, the more times that car can get you money, and the more times the car can get you money, the closer it is to earning the cash cow tag. So let's talk about usability. Obviously, when you want to use a car many times, it has to fit in many requirements, and obviously I've done this in every series so far. Let's talk about the most common requirements that will show up in clubs. You're going to see these requirements throughout the week when you play every week for the rest of your life. I mean, at least for the rest of your life when you play Top Drives, or for as long as Top Drives and clubs is a thing, okay? So let's talk about the common niches that you always see in clubs. You guys know how it is if you've seen the series already. Times by front wheel drive, rear wheel drive, 5-seater, saloon, a country from the big six, all surface tires, standard and performance tires, petrol, not diesel, not eco-friendly, not hybrid, no water, whatever, leaf, nah, just petrol, 2-seaters, and any update from Italian Renaissance and before. Additional niches that would make your car even more special is if it's medium for city living, city streets, Dragon City, off-road tires for basically any road less taken. Now always remember, when it comes to clubs, there's always going to be one off-road track set. No matter whether it's road less taken or desert sands, or you know, that one off-road storm chaser track set or that one off-road circuit breaker track set, it's always gonna be off-road, okay? So off-road tires, that's the king of the crop. They're always gonna beat all surface tires unless it's a drag situation. Cars that handle very well, and of course specialists, okay? So cars that fit under these requirements that you see on this list are gonna have more usability than cars that fit on this other list that I'm gonna show you. These are the impossible niches, okay? These are the requirements that never show up in clubs. They might show up in clubs one day when Hutch decides to update it, but it's been over 2 years now. Hutch don't care about clubs. You just need to know that. Hutch don't care about clubs, okay? So let me talk about the niches that never show up in clubs. So if your cars has any of these niches, then they're going to be used less than cars that do have the niches from the common niche list that you saw like 20 seconds or 10 seconds ago in this video, okay? So uncommon niches, no, I'm sorry, uncommon isn't the right word. Niches that never show up would be times 5 4-seaters, times 5 country from the big six. You're never going to see times 5 Sweden or times 5 Croatia when it comes to clubs. Times 5 1-seaters, electric, hybrid, or other fuels. Sometimes you see eco-friendly that shows up like once every 3 months, but outside of that, you're never going to see times 5 electric or times 5 hybrid, none of that. Anything from after Italian Renaissance, so times 5 Great Exhibition, American Frontier, JPT, you're never going to see those. But the nice thing about JPT is that it's just revamps of brands that are already in the game. There was nothing new, so usually when it comes to clubs, when you see times 5 Subaru or times 5 Nissan, you're really only using the new JPT cars anyway, so that's kind of, you know, that's a nice little loophole, I would say. But you're never going to see, you know, European Revolution, American Frontier, Great Exhibition as a whole. You're also never going to see things like times 5 Coupe, Estate, Hatchback, Convertible, Roadster, none of that. It's saloon or die. And you know what? It kind of works out because saloon is in my niche. But anyway, let's talk about the ultra rare cash cows. So we're going to start with the Nissan Polestar. Medium ground clearance. This is kind of just my go-to city streets medium car that I want to save RQ on. You can't go go any lower than 50 RQ when it comes to ultra rare. So if it's ultra rare times 5 and it's like, or ultra rare times 5 Japanese cars times 2, there's a city living or a Dragon City or anything that requires a medium ground clearance car, this is a really good card to use because it has really good stats, really good handling, and it's medium ground clearance. The other thing, like I said, usability is key. It also fits in the front wheel drive niche, it fits in the Japanese niche, it fits in anything that requires a medium. Very useful car, and I use it a lot. Also the Lotus Elite Sport 135, British niche, that's from the big 6, right, in terms of country. Times 5 Lotus never shows up in clubs, to be fair, but this is the card that you want to use in anything twisty and you want to save RQ. You see twists and turns, you see circuit breaker, anything that has a turn, you want to use the Lotus Elite Sport if you want to save RQ, because if you save RQ in one section, you can go big on the other side. The Renault Sport Megane 4RS as well. This and the Opel Extreme are very, very similar. I use them in front wheel drive niches and in their respective niches as well. So front wheel drive plus German for the OPC, front wheel drive plus French for the Renault Sport Megane. Both very useful cars, and once again, they save RQ. Basically, every car that you see in here, this list, that's RQ 55 and below, they all have the shared positive of being an RQ saver. Next up, the Lamborghini Countach LP400. Now, one thing I want to say is that I am including prize cars for ultra rares. I know I didn't include prize cars for rares or super rares, but for ultra rares, I want to include prize cars because there are 2 prize cars in particular that I use all the freaking time, and it feels wrong to not put it in the list. So Lamborghini Countach is my go-to test bull car if I want to save RQ. Really good for the Italian niche as well, but there is one car that's better now. It's the Bulldog, and we'll talk about that in a bit. The Charger 3 as well. Like I said, the Charger 3 and the Countach, they go hand in hand. You use this for the 1 mile and you use it for the test bowl. And then for the Charger 3, you can also use it for the 1 mile if you want. 0 to 100, quarter mile, half mile. Fantastic car. I'm actually maxing out my 4th Charger 3 as we speak. The Kizashi 4x4. Now, why is this so high up the usability chart? Because it's Japanese, because it's medium, because it handles well, because it's 4-wheel drive, because it's standard, and the most important thing is that it's a saloon. And saloon events show up in clubs all the time. Not only is it a saloon, it's also a 5-seater. So it has one up over the Subaru Levorg, because yes, the Levorg also is a 5-seater. Yes, it's also medium. Yes, it's also 4-wheel drive. Yes, it handles even better. Yes, it's standard tires, but you can't use the Levorg in a saloon event. The Kizashi, you can. And saloon events and 5-seaters show up in clubs all the time, and Japanese events show up in clubs all the time. The Kizashi, if there's anything rain, Storm Chaser, Rising Storm, that one Dragon City track set when everything is wet, this thing is going to get you value, and it's going to get you a lot of money. It's a cash cow. Nissan Micra 350 SR, it's a bit of a hybrid car. It's lightweight, low 0 to 60. The handling is okay. I wouldn't say it's good, but it's okay. It gets the job done. I like to use this to save RQ on hybrid tracks and clubs such as Hairpin, Monaco City Streets long. You get the gist. Moving on is the Nissan Juke Nismo. Now, this one's pretty interesting. I really only use this when it comes to all-surface tire times 5 in clubs. Shows up from time to time. I would say about once a month, so not too, common, but when it does show up, this is going to save you so much RQ, and it's going to earn you a lot of cash because it handles so well, and it's a fantastic all-surface tire car to use in any kind of all-surface tire event where you don't need to use off-road, because there's always going to be one off-road, but there are always 3, or there are usually 3 different tracks that's in clubs, right? So there's roadless taken, where you can use your 4-wheel drive off-road cars when if it's a combination of roadless taken and all-surface tires, but the other 2 track sets might be Dragon City and Twists and Turns. Then this Juke Nismo really shines. Moving on is the Dodge Circuit EV, basically the Lotus Elise for the USA. So if it's Twists and Turns, it's USA. This is the car I like to use. Also, it's that eco-friendly tag, but don't really focus on eco-friendly. That shows up in clubs once every 3 months. It's very, very rare. The Subaru Legacy is a little bit like the Juke Nismo. I would only do this 332. This is a drag spec a Subaru. Now, Subaru times 5 shows up in clubs quite a bit. Also, Dragon City for Japanese times 5. The Legacy isn't the worst car to use. It's probably not going to win you a lot of races, but it saves you RQ. A 332 version, it has really good MRA for a Subaru. Once again, it's a very niche car, and we're going to see a lot of niche cars in this, because once again, this is club focused. This is a club focused video because this is about getting money. The Subaru Legacy for Subaru x5, when it comes to drag, you want to save RQ, the Blitzen is the one to use. The KTM 7 270, I mean, this needs no introduction. Anything wet twisty, even dry twisty, the KTM 7 270, I mean, you put this thing on a slalom with the weight that it has, I mean, you're just gonna get value out of it no matter what. The Zaire also, it's like the Lotus 135, but for French events. Now we move up the RQ though, because we're gonna see 55, 56, and etc. So we're going into mid-range ultra rares now. The 520D is basically, you know, your saloon 5-seater rain car, kind of like the Kazashi, but also handles really well and it's just slightly better. Also, it's useful in German events and BMW events. And then you have the Chevrolet Trailblazer. This needs no introduction, okay? Now, what makes the all-surface tire shine is that when it comes to twisty off-road track sets, you always want to use off-road tires. Off-road tires are going to be better, but when it comes to drag, if you want that off-the-line acceleration, that traction bonus, that's when four-wheel drive comes in handy, and that's where these, you know, drags or four-wheel drive cars are really useful. So the Trailblazer, the AMG G63, these are going to be very useful cars in the off-road meta in clubs, even though they don't have off-road tires, because, you know, the four-wheel drive is just that, you know, game-changing when it comes to off-the-line acceleration, traction, when it comes to drag in off-road situations. God, that was a really long description. Aston Martin Bulldog, right? It's just a better version of the Thanos Countach. And then the Acura TLX. Whenever there's front-wheel drive, Storm Chaser, Rising Storm, anything wet, I want to use the Acura TLX. This and the Cadillac ELR come hand in hand. But on top of that, the TLX is also medium, it's also a saloon, it's also 5-seaters, and it's also petrol. This car, you can use it basically everywhere in clubs. It's eligible for almost anything. It gets you so much cash. The Maybach 62 Long Delay is basically a car that I like to use for any drag track sets, so Dragon City or Speed of Light, or even the Storm Chaser with a bunch of 0 to 100 to zeros. This is a really good car to use, especially if the requirements are cut to standard tire times 5. This is a fantastic one to use. It's kind of in that breed of the other epic Maybach and the Cadillac 16, but those two cars are in different rarities. So the 62 Long Delay is the only one in its class, baby. It's a drag standard tire car with great MRA and a low 0 to 60. The Jaguar X-Type is basically the British version of the BMW 520. It's also a saloon, also 4-wheel drive, also medium, also 5-seater, also standard. You get the gist. Suzuki Ignis Super 1600, medium ground clearance, amazing handling, good MRA, and an okay 0 to 60. No top speed, so this isn't a car you're going to put in a half-mile test bowl, 1 mile, but that doesn't really matter. This is a car that you want to use in front-wheel drive clubs, twists and turns, city living, Dragon City, on the city streets. You're going to get value out of this. Even then, it's a great car for the fast circuit, and it's a great car for the quarter mile. Moving on now is the Opel Corsa Super 1600. This is a car that you want to bend over for. This is a car that I bend over for. This thing is freaking amazing. I have 5 of the Max 323, absolutely fantastic. Why? It's because it's the best front-wheel drive off-road tire car in the entire game. So, like I said, off-road tires in clubs every day, right? Front-wheel drive in clubs almost every day, at least 3 to 4 times a week. And this being the best in its class, yeah, it's going to get you a lot of money. You need that. If you're going to play clubs, you're going to need the Opel Corsa. That's one of the top 3 cars in my opinion. Honda Civic Type R as well. Great little hybrid. Everything about this is just, it's perfect. It's the Goldilocks car. Not too cold, not too hot. What I mean by that is the RQ, not too high, not too low. The handling is good. The 0 to 60 is low. Top speed is high. MRA is but it's also not medium ground clearance. It used to be medium, but it's not medium anymore, but that's fine whenever there's front wheel drive and I want to save some RQ, but I don't need to save too much RQ where I'm forced to use a 50. The Honda Civic Type R is a great car to use, and I can use it on absolutely everything because it's kind of like the perfect hybrid car. I can put this on the quarter mile, I can put this on the half mile, I can put this on the slalom, I can put this on the twisty circuit, the twisty road, the hairpin road, Monaco City streets, airplane hangar, whatever you name it, you call it. The Honda Civic Type R is a decent choice to use for almost any track set that is dry. And then we have the Cadillac XLR-V. Now here's an interesting one, right? People are going to question the Chrysler Aspen and the Cadillac XLR. These two ultra rares are not very good, but when it comes to clubs, they stand out. Why? Like I said, if there's Chrysler x5 in clubs, this is the only off-road tire car that you can use. So yes, this is a cash cow. Because if it's Chrysler times 5 in clubs, and there is a road less taken, as there always will be, or an off-road version of Circuit Breaker or Storm Chaser, the Chrysler Aspen Hybrid is the only car that's going to get you value on those off-road track sets, and that's why it's useful. Not because it's good, it's because it's the only one. It's the same thing for the Cadillac XLR-V. Cadillac times 5 in clubs is really common, and I hate it, because if there was going to be any American brand that was super common in clubs, I would want it to be Dodge, I would want it to be Chevrolet, I would want it to be Ford, not Cadillac. But when it comes to Cadillac, this is going to get you value, because this is like the only performance tire Cadillac Ultra Rare. Cadillac Epics that are performance tires are not strong, and you don't want to focus on maxing them out just for clubs. So the best value, I would say, great value buy, okay, Walmart, would be the Cadillac XLR. It beats the performance tires Super Rares. It's not going to beat the Epics. Well, it will beat the Epics at 1 star, but it's not going to beat the Max Epics. But not a lot of people are going to have Max Cadillac Epics, and not a lot of people are going to max Cadillac Epics just for clubs. Ugh. So yeah, the XLR-V, it's a really good middle ground, great value. Okay, this is the Walmart Cadillac, if I had to call it for anything. Mercedes-AMG G63, right? This goes hand in hand with the Trailblazer. Trailblazer is 1 mile and test bowl. Mercedes-AMG G63 is quarter mile and half mile. Moving on now is the Chrysler 300C Hemi. It's kind of like the Honda Civic Type R in the sense that it's a hybrid. Whenever it's standard tire times 5, I do like to use it because it has a very, very, very low 0 to 60 for a standard tire car. 4.4 0 to 60 if you 323 it, and it has medium ground clearance and decent handling. Moving on is the Renault Sport Megane 275 Trophy R. This car needs no introduction. Medium ground clearance, front-wheel drive niche, French niche, amazing handling, great car to use on city living, twist and turn, circuit breaker, anything, Storm Chaser, not really Storm Chaser, what am I thinking, Rising Sun, that's the one I was thinking of, but anything dry, twisty, or city streets, this is a fantastic car to use. Not super expensive either. The Nissan Silvia is basically my go-to Japanese car in clubs for off-road. It's kind of like the Lancia 037, but for Japanese cars. Better than the RQ60 Silvia as well for twisty conditions because it handles better. Nissan 370Z is my go-to Japanese car in clubs for hybrid track sets. 4.295, I believe, are the stats. Very, very strong for an RQ59. The Maserati Quattroporte, once again, another example of not being a good ultra rare. It's only in this list because it's the only one in its class. What class is it in? It's the only ultra rare Italian standard tire car, and Italian times 5 in clubs shows up all the time. If there's a Storm Chaser, if there's a Rising Storm, if there's any track set in clubs that has some sort of rain, the Maserati Quattroporte, just because it's like the only one that has standard tires in the entire ultra category, is already destined to get you value because it has no competition. Medium ground clearance, the handling is pretty bad, but it really doesn't matter because it's the only one. The Lotus 340R needs like 0 introduction, okay? We know how good this thing is. The G37 as well, really fantastic car. This and the Caterham go hand in hand, the RQ54 Caterham. Next up, we have the Dodge Avenger Rally Sedan. Once again, this and the Bulldog. I couldn't annex these two prize cars from the list. They're just so useful. The Dodge Avenger Rally Sedan is amazing. Amazing handling, medium ground clearance, front-wheel drive. It goes hand in hand, actually, with the Opel Corsa Super. Also, better MRA on the Dodge. We have the Aston Martin DB3S. This is a pretty decent car, you know, very lightweight, great MRA, high top speed, and okay 0 to 60 and okay handling. But what makes this car stands out is that it is the best car, or one of the best cars to use in the pre-1970s niche when it comes to clubs. Once again, pre-1970s, they do show up in clubs, but not very often. I would say maybe once a month or so. But if you have multiple of these and it's pre-1970s in clubs, you can start rubbing your hands because you're gonna earn a lot of money, boy. But yeah, DB3S, really good car. Suzuki C2 also needs no introduction. It's a very lightweight car, very low 0 to 60, and decent handling. Then we have the Subaru Impreza. Once again, it's one of my go-to four-wheel drive Japanese cars. I get it. It's no Evo 4. It will never be an Evo 4. But when it comes to Subaru times 5, if I need a substitute to the Evo 4, then I kind of look at the Subaru Impreza. It handles quite well. It's relatively lightweight. The 0 to 60 is okay. And the MRA as well for a Subaru is just but I get value out of it, especially in times 5 Subaru events. Then moving on is the Pontiac Torrent GXP. Much like the Chrysler Aspen Hybrid, this is only special because it's the only one in the class, okay? So search up off-road tires or all-surface tires, Pontiacs. This is the only one, and times 5 Pontiac tend to show up in clubs at least, I want to say, 3 to 4 times a month. So if you have multiple of these and it's Pontiac times 5, it's Road Less Taken or Desert Sands, you're golden. That's easy MVP right there. If you have the club booster, that's 8,000, 8,000, 8,000, 8. That's money. That's money. So Pontiac Torrent, it's a cash cow. Not a fantastic ultra rare, but when it comes to clubs, it will get you value because of, you know, the fact that it has no competition and because of what it is. The Lotus Exige S1 as well. Great little hybrid, decent MRA, great handling, very lightweight car. I like to use it when it comes to rear-wheel drive events, petrol events, British events. Fantastic car to use for Dragon City, for the drag areas, because some Dragon Cities have drags on some track sets and twisty tracks on other track sets. Great car to use for twists and turns, circuit breaker, rising sun, you name it, okay? And then we have the Volkswagen Golf GTI TCR. This is the king of the crop when it comes to the front wheel drive twisty ultra rare meta, and then obviously the fast meta will be the Auto Delta, which we'll talk about in a bit. TVR Tamora as well, your go-to ultra rare for quarter mile, half mile, standing in the dry, which is very, very common in Speed of Light, very, very common in Dragon City. And then we have the Subaru Legacy STI. Once again, bit of a specialist car when it comes to Subaru times 5. I recommend 332, nothing else, just 332 on the Subaru Legacy STI. This is the hell sushi, as I like to call it. This thing gets me so much value. If you haven't seen already, I have dedicated posts to this car on my Top Drives Instagram. Link in the description below, by the way, if you want to check it out. But yeah, this thing beats epic Subarus, okay? So whenever there's times 5 Subaru in clubs, which is pretty often, and there's Dragon City, Speed of Light, this is the car to use. And then moving on is the unless you want to max out an epic Subaru or the Legend, but like, you know, if you want to save RQ and still get value, that's a good car to use. Porsche 924 Carrera is basically Lancer 037, but for German events. And then you have the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo. Now this is the king of the crop, right? Medium ground clearance, 4-wheel drive, amazing handling, low 0 to 60, lightweight, saloon. Once again, also a 5-seater and also Japanese. I mean, this is a car that you need to use time and time again. Much like the Opel Corsa, I have 5 of these maxed. We have the Ford Focus RS500, front wheel drive, medium ground clearance, decent MRA, and great handling on this bad boy. So a great car to use for front wheel drive events and clubs. And once again, front wheel drive is really, really, really common. Not only front wheel drive, but petrol events, UK events. This is the car you want to use. And Ford shows up from time to time. And then with the Cadillac CTS Coupe, medium ground clearance, 4-wheel drive, standard tires, amazing handling. And then we have the Subaru Legacy BW. Basically, standard tire times 5 in clubs, anything that is rain and this car is eligible, this will be the car to use, okay? I've used this car in clubs so many times already, and this is definitely one of those top 3 cars that I really want to use in clubs. I want to get 5 of these maxed. So yeah, great cash cow. Beats epics, kills epics. Roof BTR, also a go-to dragster. 1980 events in clubs, German event in clubs, petrol events and clubs, rear-wheel drive events and clubs, anything when it's ultra rare, Dragon City, ultra rare, Speed of Light. If you can use all the RQ in the world, the Roof BTR, you cannot make a hand without it. You gotta have this, you gotta have the Tamora, you gotta have the Bulldog, depending on what the track sets are. If it's a test bowl, you want the Bulldog. If there's some 1 miles in there, you want the Roof. If you want a quarter mile in there, then you're gonna want to use a Tamora, but also, you know, German times 5, then you can't use a Tamora and you can't use the Bulldog. So obviously the Roof BTR, you're definitely gonna get value out of that. Fantastic car. Great little hybrid as well. Obviously 332 on the first one, but this is one of those cars where if you do get a second one, 233 ain't bad either, because it's gonna get 90 handling on that bad boy. Mercedes AMG S63, also a dragster, but it also has a trump card, which is medium ground clearance. Low 0 to 60, great MRA. Basically anything you want to use on like speed bump drags, but that never shows up in clubs. The only thing that this would be useful for in clubs, I would say, would be any track set. I mean, obviously drags 0 to 100, anything with the rain, this would be a really good card to use. Any drags in the rain, it would be a great card to use. So you know that one storm, there are 2 storm chaser tracks in clubs where it's very drag focused. the S63 is going to get you a lot of value. Also German, also saloon, also rear-wheel drive, 5-seater petrol. A lot of niches in this bad boy. You can get value out of it for sure. The Lancia 037 Rally needs no introduction. You want to use it off-road, you want to use it in the dry, basically anything off-road rear-wheel drive, this is the best car to use. 323, no cap. Still, it still haunts me till this day that I have not pulled one. I only have one in its drag spec, and it really annoys me. To tell you how old my 037 was, it's drag spec because I unpacked that 037 before it got a buff. And how long ago was that buff? I want to say we're verging on like 2 years now, so it's been a really long time since I've unpacked the 037. I really want to get this again, man. I need to. Colorado as well, fantastic car to use, especially if there's any motocross track sets in the road less taken variants. Hill climb, oh actually no, hill climb, don't put on hill climb. Motocross for sure. The Chevrolet Colorado, it's also a fantastic car to use on slalom, fantastic car to use on off-road USA events, fantastic car to use on anything twisty dirt really. The Colorado ZR2 is going to get you a lot of value, 4-wheel drive, and very good handling. The M6 convertible as well, any German events with a fast circuit. There is one circuit breaker that this is the perfect car to be on, especially if it's Ultra times 5, because if you get Ultra times 5 and you get that one circuit breaker, there's one circuit breaker track set in clubs where there is a fast circuit on every single track. So no matter what race you play, there's always going to be a fast circuit. If you get this, the M6 convertible, that is the best ultra rare for the fast circuit. So that's a 100% win condition if you have it and your opponent doesn't on every race that you do. Aston Martin Rapide S, it's kind of like my go-to saloon. High top speed, low 0 to 60, great handling, decent MRI. Moving on is the Alpine A310, also the prize car, but I like to use this a lot. Now this is more of a personal thing. If you have like a handful of Lancia 037 rallies, then you're only going to use this for like, you know, French events with city streets, with City Living or Dragon City. But I have to use the Alpine a lot more than you do because I only have one 037 and it's upgraded the wrong way. It's 3.3 frickin' 2. So this is a very useful car for me. It might be a useful car for you as well if you don't have the 037. If not, just use the 037. The last two is going to be the Fiat or the Abarth 030. Now Fiat times 5 shows up in clubs quite a bit, kind of like Pontiac, kind of like Chrysler. I don't know why, but when it comes to clubs, Hutch likes to focus on the less popular brands. It's not like we see Porsche times 5 or Mercedes times 5 or Dodge or BMW times 5 a lot. We see things like Fiat. We see the obscure shit, you know? So unfortunately, this is useful because it is from an obscure brand. Really good at 0 to 60, really good handling, lightweight car with a high top speed. And last but not least is the Alfa Romeo Auto Delta. When it comes to front wheel drive meta in clubs, this is the one that you want to use for anything that has a drag. Test bowl, quarter mile, half mile, 1 mile. Once again, it's the only car in its class. No other front wheel drive ultra rare has the MRA that the Auto Delta brings to the table. Also has the top speed, also has the medium ground clearance, and the handling isn't that bad either. This is a car kind of like the Roof BTR. It's like the front wheel drive version, the medium ground clearance version of the Roof BTR. You can get this at 332, but you can also get it at 233. There's no better representation than to show you my personal collection of what I think are ultra rare cash cows. So right here, as you can see, double Pulsar, triple Elise, double Magan, double OPC, double Countach, quadruple Charger 3s, double Kazashis, but the second one is stock for now. I will be maxing that. One Lavorg because I only unpacked one Lavorg, one Micra because I've only unpacked one Micra, two Juke Nismos, the second one I'm probably gonna max, 4 EVs, 2 Blitzens, 5 Caterhams, 3 Desirs, 3 Trailblazers, 5 520Ds, 4 of them max out of the 5, 2 Bulldogs, 3 TLXs, 3 Maybach 62s, 2 of them being fully upgraded, 3 Ignis, where 2 of them are upgraded, 5 fully upgraded Opel Corsas, 3 Honda Civics, 1 XLR-V, 4 Mercedes AMG G63s, 3 of them are upgraded, 2 Chrysler Aspen Hybrids, 1 Chrysler 300C, 4 Nissan Silvia 200 SXs, 3 Nissan Silvia 370Zs. I feel like I'm doing that one Christmas song where you count down, you know? 12 days of Christmas, that's what it is. 2 Maserati Quattroportes, 4 Lotus 340Rs, 1 Infiniti G37 because I've only unpacked one of those, 1 Avenger, obviously price car, 3 Aston Martin DB3Ss, 3 Suzuki C2s, all max, 2 Torrents, 1 Impreza WRX because I've only unpacked 1, 4 maxed out Golf GTI TCRs, 2 Tamoras, 2 Subaru Legacies, obviously one being the Hell Sushi, which I use a lot more, as you can see over here. 145 races compared to, what is this? 91, there you go. So a little more, not a lot more. 4924 Carreras. How many Evos? So I have 7 Evos. 5 of them are maxed. And then we have 2 Ford Focuses, 2 Legacy BWs, 5 BTRs, 2 S63s, 4 Colorados, 1 M6 because I've only unpacked 1, 4 Aston Martin Repeat S's, 3 Abarth 030s, 2 of which are maxed, and 1 Alpine. So obviously, I get duplicates of these cars for a damn reason. But anyway, let's go to the outro. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it. This is my personal list and my personal opinion of what I think are the best cash cows for clubs. And obviously, I play clubs a crap ton. You have seen all my 1 million pack opening videos. Those are all self-funded, usually from clubs, grinding in clubs. And these are the cards that I always use when it comes to the ultra rare meta. But anyway, I hope you found this video helpful. I hope you can go play clubs. You can use these cards, get some value out of them, and get some cash. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great day. I'm going to stay safe, wash your hands, and blossom out. Peace.
Bro, this song just makes me so happy.
Me too.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Sit back, relax in my Bonneville Pontiac. Hold tight all night, cruise to Jacksonville
Atlantic.
Blonde hair, don't care, look like Leslie Brooks. Pin up girls everywhere with the drop dead look. Swing it side to side as we slow dance to the night. When I hold your perfect